Welcome to Trash Talk, a podcast by Zero Waste Canada. I'm your host, Alistair McCallum. I moved to Canada in 2017 from England, and I've since held a variety of roles in the waste industry, and currently sit on the Zero Waste Canada board. On this podcast, we will dive deep into the world of zero waste and the circular economy, speaking with change makers who are helping to lead us to a more waste-free, sustainable planet. On today's Trash Talk, we have Cody Irwin from ShareWares, a reuse platform in Vancouver. This is Cody Irwin from ShareWares, everyone. How are you doing, Cody?
Yeah, doing great, doing great. Yeah, thanks for inviting me to jump on. This is exciting.
Tell us about ShareWares then. So how did the idea come from? What was the kind of origins of it? And what are things looking like for you right now?
Oh, right. Well, ShareWares is a borrowing platform for reusable, returnable packaging. We try to make it easy or to replace single-use packaging with reusable packaging and get back to our regular day without any hassle. So it started off. Well, I guess the my zero waste journey started off maybe when I was born. I was born on a farm in Manitoba, so I've always been, I guess, into nature and I have a deep respect for that. And when I launched my first venture in 2010, it was in healthy foods for offices, snacks, fruits, veggies, all that natural, organic, locally sourced products. But I noticed there was an awful lot of packaging waste that was coming out of these offices. Everybody wanted quick grab and go items. So there was just these like single serve package. Yeah, it was terrible. So I was trying to do everything I can to mitigate that, looking for solutions for where could this packaging go. And then we're like, well, let's just get rid of the packaging. And we started doing bulk food programs and on tap programs for like kegerators with kombucha, cold brew. We're doing teas, ciders, lemonades, all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, that was going great. And actually, we're taking the industry for like corporate food service in that direction to zero waste. And then the pandemic happened, all offices closed. We dropped 98% a day. And so it was quite devastating, but comically. But with the government's support, we were instead of just burning everything down and just going home and playing video games, we were able to lean into it and the stuff that we were doing before in zero waste. I wanted to keep on that vein, and as I was going down that zero waste road, or saw more people talking about a circular economy. Like it really wasn't like a thing. Like people have been talking about this for a long time, but there's been like seven of them in the world. Like when I looked at LinkedIn for circular economy, I think there's 114 people in the world on LinkedIn in 2020 that mentioned something about circular economy.
Mm,
And now there's like tens of thousands, which is great.
yeah.
Um, so anyways, we saw these people doing like reusable packaging for like cups and takeaway containers, grocery packaging, bags for like all these circular systems where you like borrow them and then you return them. And we saw that most companies doing it weren't really they were doing it off the side of their desk. They weren't professionals in it. They just saw this need and they were kind of made themselves a professional in it. So I was just like, well, this is a brand new market. It's on the bleeding edge. This seems like a great area to jump into with my expertise. I got a background in mechanical engineering and entrepreneurship, and I love getting my hands dirty and building machines. So, there's like got to do washing with this, and there's like technology that's involved, so I can get jazzed on that. So kind of everything we wanted. So we repurposed our resources and our team to launch ShareWares. We launched with 5 cafes in 2021, and then within 8 months, we signed up Tim Hortons for their reusable cup borrowing program in Vancouver. It
Yep.
was supposed to be a 1 year pilot, and then it's still active today. Our technology powers that. That one runs on a deposit program where you buy a coffee and you pay a deposit for that cup, and then when you return that cup, we digitally transfer your money back right to your bank, or you can donate it to charity. So that was great. That was kind of our initial like big splash, and since then we've been really digging into events and festivals and things like that, and that's been going great. Those are huge areas of need for addressing waste, and so we're excited to do that in event venues, and now we're working with BC Place for trying to get their whole stadium to go zero waste. So that's all very exciting stuff. So that's kind of our trajectory so far.
Amazing, yeah. And then you went from going blue containers initially to now pink. So what was the kind of thought behind the rebrand, and what's some of the research behind that, and how has that kind of changed things on your end at ShareWares as well?
Well, I've always liked pink. I wanted to go like blue and pink when we first, like our first branding was all blue 'cause it's like water and
Yeah.
washing and clean and, Blue Planet and like all these types of things. So we were like thinking all in that line when that was when there was like a dozen companies in the world that were doing reuse, and then everybody started doing blue, and it's just like, all right, well, I mean, there's a few odd outliers in like orange and yellow and things like that,
Yeah.
um, we wanted to have like pink as our secondary color, and this one other company was doing a pink and a blue. It was like kind of a nude pink or something, and I'm like, well, we that's been taken, and then just we were doing a big press conference at our washing facility for the announcement by the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. George Heyman was here to talk about all these single-use plastic bans,
Yeah.
and right like it was like 2 weeks before, we're like, let's do something big or whatever, and like we're like. Want to go pink? Let's just go pink. Let's do it. And it was just like, all right, we're gone pink. And then we just like printed out a whole bunch of stuff, changed everything, and just boom, we were suddenly all pink. And I like it. It's more fun. Everybody's like, wow, you guys are doing so much. I see you guys everywhere. And it's like, no, we just changed our color to pink, and now you just see us more. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's more fun. Use sustainability so like I guess boring in a lot of ways, and to make it fun, to get people more engaged in it, and it makes people happy and makes me happy every day. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, pink.
I guess like yeah, like picking up like the blue is kind of linked to blue bin recycling, which I guess maybe being a reuse company, it's more like people's thoughts are like straight when they see blue, it's like, I'm going to recycle this. Whereas like with you now, it's like pink is a bit different, so you can kind of maybe have that yeah thought of like, yeah, this is different. It's not a blue bin item, it's a different item kind of thing, right? Does that kind of play into how you're thinking?
Definitely, like yeah, just not being like lost in the wash. Like if you're gonna have multiple bins, like right now we have our bins. They're white and they just have a big pink dot on it because all of our products have pink dots on it. So it's very
Yeah.
intuitive of people to see like this is where this goes. And yeah, like if we had a blue bin next to another blue bin, it's yeah,
Confusion, yeah.
it's just confusion. It's not as intuitive, and people have to read more and look at it or whatever. When if you can just, have them just not even think about it, and just be like, "Yep, this is what we got to do." Everybody's moving fast, and they just need things to be as easy and straightforward as possible.
Yeah.
So that helps. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. And so what's the science behind reuse? So in terms of container type, like some companies have steel, for example, some use plastic. So what's the science behind yeah, the reused materials, and how many times they can get reused, for example? Or what's the kind of like, yeah, scientific method behind the scenes there?
Yeah, well, we did an incredible amount of research into materials and the material science, like just like their integrity, like how long they last, can they be washed, their temperature thresholds, their washability, their safety. So with single-walled stainless steel containers, you have to curl an edge around to be able to protect the user from the sharp edge, and that creates a cavity, so it makes it harder to wash. Think about your steel pans that you have at home for your baking sheets. Then you could do double wall, and that's totally doable. And then you'd have to use a library checkout model, which was not what we were using. We were using a deposit model instead. So instead of like people checking an item out, that was more expensive and getting charged if they didn't bring it back. We wanted to have something that was very low cost, so it was accessible to everybody in the community. You didn't have to have a credit card. You could pay cash, like everything. So we needed that to be really low cost. So steel kind of got axed from our program. It is still totally possible. You just have to pay a higher deposit. You have to pay like $10 for a nice double wall, cup of coffee. We could do it.
Yeah.
It's just not the world isn't ready, doesn't need it yet. And we weren't looking to change the packaging to be better. It basically people aren't like, I wish I had a better package. People are looking at food and they're like, I want to eat this food and I need a transportation device to get this food from this place to this place or to hold it or carry it. they're not like, man, these single-use containers are terrible looking. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. They're just like, yeah, it's fine. So we just wanted to match that and increase the longevity of a single-use packaging to be able to last in washing machines. And then so you're looking at, okay, so what kind of like, so if metals and steel and stuff like that, and they're very carbon intensive to get off the, I mean, the mining and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
I mean, stainless is great. It's super safe. It can, it feels better and everything like that. But we didn't think that it was that necessary. So we're like, okay, well, we could do that later, but what do we need to do now to actually get people to rapidly transition? So looking at the different types of plastics out there. So I mean, there's all different types of there's low density polyethylene, there's high density polyethylene, there's PET, there's polypropylene, there's polycarbonate, there's all sorts of different things, and then there's like into the melamines, and there's like then silicones, and most people don't know that silicone's plastic, but it is. Um, and so yeah, just looking at all those different things, and then like assessing like, are they safe? First thing, well, melamine is also been proved now not to be safe, so they're getting axed everywhere because they're releasing formaldehydes. Um, there is some safety concerns with certain silicones or silicone in general being at high temperature with siloxanes being released, and then there's polycarbonates as BPA, then there's polycarbonate like adjacent styles that have BPS and BPF in it that are seen as endocrine disruptors that are even worse than BPA, but people got so blind and over BPA
Yeah.
craziness that they're not even looking at that anymore. They're like, I don't want to hear it. Just tell me it works. And so we went through that, and then we're like, okay, could we do a bioplastic? Is bioplastic where we're going to go? And it's like the amount of crops that you have to do for land. We'd have to take away from food sources for humans. And so, well, we don't want to do that. But it's still it could be a viable option. So, well, what about using like seaweed and like sargassum, like an algae seaweed to create these bioplastics, and it does exist, but they're really expensive and they're used and they're not really, I guess they're not formulated now to be a food container. They're more like additives to cosmetics, and then they're really expensive because of it's got to be farmed in low quantities versus plastics that are created in insane amount of quantities. So there's a barrier with that, and then the washing side of it, washing them at like 190, 195 degrees Fahrenheit, they're just not going to last one cycle, let alone hundreds. And so it kind of always came back to polypropylene, and polypropylene is just that choice material. It can wash at high temperatures. It can be recycled like polycarbonates, and other ones like they can't be recycled, or that
Mm.
it is possible, but they aren't readily recycled in most of the world, where polypropylene is more commonly recycled. PET is the most, but PET can't be washed. It'll melt. And so yeah, always came back to polypropylene, and or on the plastic side, and then like doing the research on that is like, well, there's all these studies about plastics, leaching and all these types of things. And a lot
Yeah.
of the anti-plastic people are pointing to studies, say by like Lisa Zimmerman out of Germany, and who was doing these leaching tests off. But if they dug into it, they would see that not all of the things were leaching. It was just some. So the title is saying all plastic leaches. Well, she tested each type of plastic, and some from each type did, but not
Yeah.
all. And especially the polypropylene. Polypropylene was a very, yeah, there wasn't as much. And those were just like pulled off the shelf. Like, I think some of it was like non-food grade products. They were just like cosmetic stuff or whatnot. So it was just like, you really have to go deeper into the research, and more recently, people have been like, well, what about it after it's being washed? Like polypropylene is not leaching and is passing all these FDA and EU tests. What about after 100 washes? And this is a scary one for the plastics industry, because it's like, if it does, then it's like, oh crap. Like, open Pandora's box. It's like, now it's going to be new. But we actually had one of a champion brand did, well-known brand. I don't want to talk about their studies or anything like that, but
Yeah.
they did a test on their product after 100 commercial washes, and it completely safe. And
Hmm.
so that was like a huge win for the industry. I was biting my nails on that too. I'm like, oh, is my whole world gonna implode if this doesn't come back right? But yeah, so there's been a lot of testing, a lot of research, and for now, polypropylene, in my opinion, is our front runner to get reuse to scale, and then from there. There could be other products that are available then that might be new, maybe bioplastics that can withstand temperatures. Some studies coming out of I think it's the University of Florida.
Yeah.
Anyways, so sorry, went on a
Awesome. Yeah,
huge
no.
tangent there. I guess.
A lot of science behind the scenes there is awesome. The research is very in depth there. It's good to know like what's happening behind the scenes and yeah, kind of the different testing and everything going on. So that's good information to share. Thank you. So who you mentioned Tim Hortons, BC Place earlier on. So who is using ShareWares and what benefits are they seeing from the program?
I guess the event spaces are hot right now. Everybody's looking because it's just like in one night you could have, hundreds of thousands of items.
Yeah,
In the retail market, it's great to have it, and like people generally have to choose the option between the two, and it's kind of new and different. Or when you have like a captive audience at an event or in a venue or something like that, they um they don't care. You know, you're like, here's your beer, and they're like, great, thanks. And then they like finish it and they like leave it on the table or they put it in the clearly marked bin that's intuitive,
yeah,
and off they go. So we're seeing a lot of success with event venues like BC Place and Vogue Theater, Viv Theater, Bard on the Beach, like all these great, and like there's the feedback from the audience is just like, oh, this is great. It's like no one's ever like, oh God, this cut, or like there's no negativity around it, and it's so easy for the venue. They just basically order their products like they do regular single use items, and then they get picked up and brought back to our washing facility and washed. Um, and yeah, the only difference is they get charged for items that break or don't come back. Just like if you're getting some catering done and the caterer brings a whole bunch of dishes with their food, and if you start breaking all their glasses, they're going to charge you for that. But
yeah.
that attrition rate, like the breakage and whatever, is quite low. Um, so it's actually like a huge win for events.
With confusion with people with like plastic items, for example, usually put it into a plastic blue bin, for example, at a
Oh, like in the
event.
recyclability of it or something like that.
Yeah, are
Yeah,
you
no,
seeing
it's
like less confusion now? You're kind of
oh,
growing in different colors and so on mentioned
totally.
earlier. So
Yeah.
you're seeing people putting things in the right bins a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, no, I
Yeah.
mean, with our as soon as we changed to our white bins with the pink dots on it, we did a festival. It was the end of the year festival with UBC, I guess the AMS events, and it was wildly successful. Like it was like we had like a 99.6% success rate in
Wow.
people
Yeah.
putting the stuff in the right bin, or it was like 0.96 by 9.4 or something, and it was like zero point 0.4 of that was because there was no other bin, and that's why they threw it in the garbage. So you need to have the bins accessible because people
Yeah.
need convenience, especially in like a setting where you're drinking alcohol and you're at an event to have fun and you don't want to waste time. So if we had our bins next to every single bin there, we would have had like a 99.99 whatever rate of success with people putting the product in the right bin. So yeah, we've seen lots of success with that. And it's not like there needed to be awareness or anything. It's not like there was we were talking about this before the event and everybody got an email saying, guess what? There's going to be sharewares at this event. Just make sure you return it, whatever. It was just like plugged right in and just used people's intuition, and it worked great.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So great growth happening organically, it seems like, with yourself and companies in BC there and Vancouver in particular. So I wanted to come back to campaigning and policy. So I was in Vancouver when the cup fee was a thing, which is now it's now gone. I know you're very vocal at the time on keeping it in place. So what do you see as the future of policy on single use fees potentially and reuse and what can shift either provincially, federally, nationally? Like what's changing and what do you want to happen to kind of help boost these programs even further?
Yeah, so I guess what's necessary for these bans and policies to go in is to have a scaled alternative. So with, say, plastic straws getting banned, there was a scaled alternative of paper straws that were available, readily available to all retailers. Same thing with styrofoam containers. Styrofoam got banned because there was paper and plastic and other containers that can replace that very problematic material. So if you have a scaled alternative, then it's easy for them to just shut off the tap because they're like, this one is obviously bad and this works just as well. Maybe it's not as well, but it works better or works is way better for the environment. So they can just axe it. So that's kind of what's necessary. But to get there, I mean, you need more infrastructure. We need more, momentum in the industry. So, public street bins need to be available because, like, basically anywhere that there's a garbage bin, you need to have a collection bin for a reusable container. Like, kind of like everywhere you have a garbage bin, you have like a recycling bin generally next to it. And I mean, the cities have to get better at that because they just put like a garbage bin on the street corner and
Yeah.
whatnot, or they could be doing sorting from that. Great thing about the deposit programs is that there's a value at the end of use or end of life of those products. So just like cans and bottles, like in Vancouver, they have like a catch thing outside of the garbage bins, so people can put their deposit items like cans and bottles and could be reusable products in those, and then they could be taken back to a depot for cash, so they don't end up in the waste stream, or the people are digging into these trash cans looking for these valuable items. So when things
Mm.
have a value at the end of use, then an economy will be built around it to be able to extract that value. Just like nature, something dies, it's going to have nutrients in it. The world absorbs it, and it doesn't go to waste. That is the true best circular economy. Um, yeah, the cup fee going out was a bit of a shame because um, it was I know it was causing some disruption, but it was more just like a few vocal people that were like, "What do like that had I guess misinformed information about why the fees happened." So they made up their own narratives and so they got vocal about it or whatnot. But what it did was it got on the big brands' radars.
Mm.
And talking to some of these big brands, are like, we require policy to be in place before we can do anything. And it happened in Edmonton and Calgary, and and then it got repealed in Calgary, and so then like the wheels stopped go moving, and I don't know if it's going to get repealed in Edmonton. I haven't followed up with that, but like there's um it was good to get these things happening, and to get it into commonplace and normalize it more, because people can bring their own products, and they could have reusable products for in-house dining and things like that. Like it would be good it was good for momentum. I see some of the low-hanging fruit for policy being um, around in-house dining. That's easy one. It's like you don't need single use if you're doing that. And now with washing availability, like washing facilities like we have, you could do that. You could have reusable products, and you don't have to build your own washing infrastructure and like do all the plumbing and have all that extra cost into your operation. Or maybe you don't have the room for it or anything like that. Um, and then another policy I see as low-hanging fruit is like an opt-out for events and venues. It's like high waste venues that they need to have single use or reusable products available, unless it's not available. And then they could, within their application, they could be applying and saying, hey, give us our permit for doing this festival. And then like, here's your checklist of things, which they do have. Like Vancouver's got an amazing like green events checklist that people have to go through. So it could just be added to that. It's like, do you have proof that there is no reuse options available to you? And then could be a letter from us that they're like, hey, can you avail this weekend? Oh, no, sorry, we're doing folk festival or something like that. We can't support you.
Mm.
And then that's enough. So it's just like, okay, we can opt out because we didn't have the availability, and that would to me seemingly be an easy one. I don't see the holes in it, but maybe politicians do. But yeah, those are the two ones that I can see that would be like really easy wins, that could be
Yeah.
implemented pretty quickly and are. There is
Yeah.
for the reuse dining in-house is happening a lot in Europe. And I think in Victoria they just successfully do that. Maybe in Nanaimo too. I know Victoria just I think it comes into play next year.
Yeah, I think there's definitely no stopping this momentum, I would say, just from the outside looking in, on reuse. There definitely is a lot of kind of pros of these programs. I think brands are seeing this now. I know Starbucks did a recent study in the US on reusable cups and everything. So I think there's definitely attention at big brands globally even. So hoping there's kind of more policy shifts in favor of these programs as well.
Yeah, there's lots of big companies in the back end that doing the manufacturing, like huge brands that are they're looking at this, they're circling the space. And the
Mm,
thing with these cup policies and these policies that come in place that force the big brands, they can all just like jump in and do it together. Like Vancouver was
yeah,
like months away from being the reuse capital of the planet with like giant brands that were all going to be like pretty much forced to get on board with it, and they were all looking into it, and then it went away, and so they went away. But yeah, it's the policy that's really going to drive it.
yeah. My
Taylor
last
Swift. If Taylor Swift endorsed it, then we'd be all set.
yeah, well, she's there soon,
FOMO.
I guess, right? So yeah, maybe you can get a shout out from her.
Oh man, if I could get a picture of her with like one of our cups in her hand, because
Just a
I mean
pink
we're
cup in her hand during one of our
oh
songs. Yeah, there
man,
we go.
that would be great for the industry. Well,
Yeah,
great for
yeah.
us, of course, that would be amazing. But yes, we'll have cups at her show there. But
Oh,
yeah, if she
amazing,
got on
yeah.
stage and if she did like an Al Gore speech. Imagine that. I mean, Al Gore is great, and he's like smart, and he's got all the information. But like, imagine that was Taylor Swift that did it. Imagine how many ears and how many people, like how fast the world could change
That's a lot of
if
people. Yeah.
somebody of Taylor Swift like caliber and like and with that following and just diehard fans or whatever. And yeah, that would that's she's got my vote for endorsing, because that's climate change too, right? Like,
Mm,
we're not just like getting rid of single-use packaging and like like, oh, we're creating too much garbage, which yes we are, absolutely, but this is all part of the whole ecosystem. Like, to be able to create single-use items and waste them, or like well, as you're wasting them, you got to create more to replace those, and more and more and more. And so that's emissions, and that's not just emissions of the production of it, but that's all the transport, and transport's a huge part of it. And then the transport at the end of life being like, say, shipped back overseas and then being like burnt and like, going into the oceans and all that kind of stuff. It's a this the single-use packaging thing seems like it's like a cute niche industry, but it's actually attached to so much and could be a big driver because it's in everybody's day-to-day life too. So you're going to see it. So if you see this and you see it as climate action, then
yeah,
you're going to be like, wait, no, I am doing climate action, and then that can gain the momentum. I see this as being that low-hanging fruit to be
yeah.
a catalyst to really have a transformative change around the world in climate change. We just need Taylor Swift.
You're listening, Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. Taylor,
Yeah.
please help us.
Just keeping one eye on time here, last 5 minutes or so. Just I'll combine the last question into two. So it's just around reuse at scale. And I know you mentioned or before on your site too, there's mention of this national wash hub expansion in North America. So just but those two items. So what do we need to scale up reuse? And what are your plans with this national wash hub expansion and kind of knowledge sharing within the continent?
Well, I guess the scale up for reuse, like reuse really isn't very different. Like I was saying before, like it just works right in the current supply chain and collection chain. Like that whole value chain already exists with distribution. So like we can wash it, we can send it to a distributor sends it to all their retailers. So just like with Tim Hortons cups right now, we wash it, we send it to a distributor, they send it to all their locations, and then from there you just have a collection company. So they're already doing waste collection for garbage recycling, compost. This is just another stream where a waste hauler can be doing that, and we proved that out with the Tim Hortons project too, where we can have another waste hauler bringing it back to us. And the great thing about that too is the waste hauler gets to drop it off for free. There's no tipping fees, so there's actually like cost savings, and we're very local. We're in the heart of the city, so they're not shipping these like way outside to a transfer station. So like all the components of to run a successful reuse program are already in place right now. Just minor tweaks, and we're laughing. And then the National Wash Network is now just a group of companies across Canada that are reuse operators and have washing logistics and delivery and pickup logistics too. So basically banding together to be like a hive mind to share information, buying group to drive down costs because inherently uh, reuse is more expensive right now versus single use because of the manual nature of it.
Mm.
However, we can be driving down those costs dramatically by bulk buying because right now we're all just buying for ourselves. Where we could do that for equipment, for washing chemistry, like just anything. Um, and then sharing it just like experiences and being this resource for each other to not only grow better and faster together, but also get others on board as well, and have them join, and then be able to like fast track their growth of that as well. Because like the reason we didn't want to go to like every single city in the world. Like the capital cost of creating a washing facility in every community would be like that would take a thousand years.
Yeah.
And with this, we need to do this now. So if we can get hungry entrepreneurs around the world that are all just like interested in starting like a fun new business that's on the bleeding edge of just taking off, like there's like an exponential more support of this and so much more money going into it and attention. So if we can just do that and all come together, and then you have like all these great entrepreneurs that are just like working hard all together, all sharing information instead of just it being siloed. I see that as the best way to rapidly scale the sustainability initiative across the world. So we created the National Wash Network is like first of its kind collaboration, and we look to grow it. So anybody out there listening that wants to start a fun business in their facility or in their community, let us know. Look us up.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a great call to action to end on. Yeah, thanks for your time today, Cody, and great to learn more about you and the ShareWares program.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.